I invite the meeting to take up agenda item 3, adoption of the agenda and meeting schedule. We shall now turn to the adoption of provisional agenda and provisional annotated agenda and meeting schedule for the 14th meeting of CMS Conference of Parties. I invite the distinguished delegates to turn their attention to document Doc 3.1, Revision 4, Provisional Agenda and Documents, and document Doc 3.2, Provisional Annotated Agenda and Meeting Schedule. Do you demonstrate? Okay. Okay. Okay, we got one request. Israel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, since this is the first time taking the floor, we would like to congratulate you on your choice as Chair, and also thank the government of Uzbekistan and the city of Samarkand for hosting this meeting. In the schedule, there are listed working groups. Some of the parties that are here are represented by only one person, such as myself and some other parties. We want to understand if these working groups are going to be taking place concurrently, or if there's some arrangements being made to make sure that small parties can attend more than one of the working groups. Thank you.
Please, I give a floor to Secretariat.
Good morning. Thank you, Israel. The Secretariat, in consultation with the Chair, has established the working groups, as is the regular practice of this convention, this meeting. We understand this is a big agenda. We are trying to set up, and we have a coordination with candidates for chairing those working groups yesterday to make sure items are organized in a way that several delegations can coordinate. There will also be the chance that a party will talk on behalf of another party in the working group. We are going to introduce all items in the COW to make sure the decisions are fully transparent for all parties present in this meeting. And you will have the chance also to organize the work later when the working groups are set up to assure maximum attendance and coordination within the regions.
Oh, thank you for giving us such explanation. So, are there any suggested modification to the provisional agenda, the provisional annotated agenda, or the meeting schedule? So, as I see none, so I declare them adopted. And now, I draw your attention, distinguished delegates, to agenda item 4, rules of procedures. Having received no proposal to amend the rules of procedures, the applicable rules of procedures to the meeting are those as adopted at COP14. Any comments? Okay, I see no comments. And now I invite the meeting to turn your attention to agenda item 5, establishment of in-session committees. According to Rule 3.3, a credential committee of not more than 5 representatives from at least 3 regions shall examine the credential submitted by parties to Secretariat of the Convention and shall report thereon to the meeting. It has been the practice of the conference to elect one representative from each of the 5 regions to review the credential of official delegations. I would therefore like to call upon each region to nominate their representatives. And now I would like to call upon Oceania for their nomination, please. Okay, I see. New Zealand asking for speech, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, apologies, but I missed the question. Can you please repeat it?
Okay. As I said before, it has been a practice of the conference to elect one representative from each of 5 regions to review the credential of official delegations. I would like to call upon to each region to nominate their representatives. Please. Now it's Oceania. Any request from Oceania? Please, New Zealand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Because we're such a small region, we haven't managed to find a willing participant for the Credentials Committee, so at this stage we don't have a nomination, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Oceania. We have taken note. And now I would like to call upon Africa for their nomination. Please. And now I would like to give the floor to Zimbabwe. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. The Africa Group met today in the morning, and we nominated Kenya to represent the group. Thank you.
Thank you, Africa. We have taken note. Now I would like to call upon Asia for their nomination, please. Saudi Arabia, floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, the Asian countries were met today in the morning, and we did not discuss the issue, but we believe that it will be good in the Credential Committee to have an Arabic speaking. So we would like to recommend Saudi Arabia to be there as from Asia and speaking Arabic language. Thank you.
Thank you, Asia. We have taken note. Now I would like to call upon Europe for their nomination. Please. Belgium, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I'm speaking on behalf of the EU and its member states. We are still consulting on this, but we'll get back to you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Europe. We have taken note. I would like to call upon Latin America and the Caribbean. Please. Well, we're still waiting for Latin America and the Caribbean. Okay. Panama, thank you. Floor is yours.
Gracias.
Thank you. The Latin American and Caribbean region would nominate Costa Rica.
Thank you. Latin America and the Caribbean, we have taken note. I hereby declare that the Credential Committee will be composed of the following countries. And let me inform you about the list of the countries: Kenya, Saudi Arabia, pending nomination Europe, Costa Rica, okay, we'll finish. In addition, in accordance with the Rule 6, we shall establish a committee of whole. The meeting may wish to establish further committees or working groups to discuss the draft budget and other issues. This can be taken up by the committees of whole. Are there any objections? As I see, none. So, it is decided. Now I invite the meeting to take up agenda item 6, admission of observers. Consistent with the criteria set up in Article 7, Paragraph 9 of the Convention and Rule 2 of the Rules of Procedures, the conference is invited to be admitted by any United Nations specialized agencies, the International Atomic Energy Agency, any state, nor as non-party to the Convention. International and national agencies or bodies, governmental or non-governmental, and other entities as listed in Document 6, and allow them to be represented at this meeting by observers. The Secretariat has prepared a list of observers and presented it as Document 6. Are there any objections to whose agencies and bodies listed in Document 6? I hereby confirm that the organization listed in Document 6 may be represented at this meeting of the Conference of the Parties by observers. Thank you. So, distinguished delegates, now we are going on the a little bit forward than we planned. So, I think there is enough time. Maybe we wish take up the next agenda item right now. Is it any objections? So, thank you. And is it India prepared and ready to give us a report? Distinguished delegates, so we have a tight agenda to get through this afternoon, so I seek your cooperation in ensuring we end on time. According to the rules of the procedures, I would like to remind the delegates that the official languages of the meeting of the Conference of Parties are English, French, and Spanish. And for this meeting, interpretation into Russian and Uzbek will be provided as a courtesy by Government of Uzbekistan. And now I would like to be grateful if you could now turn your attention to item 7, report of the COP presidency. I invite the representative of the Government of India to make their statement, please.
Thank you, Chair. India hosted the CMS COP14 in February 2020 at Gandhinagar, Gujarat, where the Gandhinagar Declaration highlighted the imperative need for connectivity to enhance the conservation of migratory species and their habitats. Despite unprecedented challenges posed by the global COVID-19 pandemic following COP, India, along with the member parties, the CMS Secretariat, the scientific communities, and the civil society organizations remain committed to implement numerous actions pledged during the COP13 in Gandhinagar. India assumed the G20 presidency in 2022 and convened the G20 leaders, the environment and the climate ministers meeting in Chennai in July 2023, and the G20 leaders summit in Delhi during the September of 2023. The G20 for the first time underscored the importance of forests in providing crucial ecosystem services and committed to scale up efforts to protect, conserve, and sustainably manage forests and combat deforestation. The G20 emphasized that the destruction of peatlands, mangroves, coastal coral reefs, grasslands, forests, and other ecosystems contribute to climate change, biodiversity loss, and land degradation. The G20 parties also emphasized on the commitment for the swift and effective implementation of the Kunming-Montreal Biodiversity Framework and on updating the national biodiversity strategies and action plans. In October 2023, India hosted a country-led initiative under the United Nations Forum on Forests in Dehradun, which brought together close to 120 delegates from 40 countries and 20 international organizations and discussed the need for adopting an integrated approach to prevent and manage wildfires and fostering regional and intercontinental and international cooperation for the management of transboundary wildfires affecting ecosystems. Celebrating the 50th anniversary of Project Tiger last year, Honorable Prime Minister of India launched the International Big Cat Alliance for conservation of 7 big cats, namely tiger, lion, leopard, the snow leopard, cheetah, jaguar, and the puma. This alliance aims to strengthen global efforts and partnerships, providing a platform for the convergence of knowledge, best practices, direct and indirect support to recovery efforts in potential range habitats. In adherence to the decision 13.46 of the CMS COP13, the Government of India has been collaborating with the SCAF range countries and the CMS Secretariat for establishment of an institutional framework for the Central Asian Flyway under the CMS umbrella, with a goal to maintain and enhance the conservation, protection, and restoration and sustainable management of all migratory bird species occurring in the CAF and their habitats. A draft resolution and terms of reference of the Central Asian Flyway Initiative, along with the establishment of a CAF Secretariat hosted by India, are presented for consideration during COP14. India has launched the ambitious Project Dolphin to focus on the conservation of both riverine and marine dolphins. The project addresses conservation concerns and aims to empower stakeholders such as river-dependent populations in reducing river pollution and promoting sustainable fishery and other livelihood options through scientifically oriented conservation methods. India has banned the manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sale, and use of single-use plastic items as of 1st of July 2022. India expresses gratitude to all member countries of the CMS Secretariat, the Standing Committee, representatives of the intergovernmental organizations, civil society organizations, and others in their unwavering support during the India's presidency of the CMS. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, India. I think it was a very fruitful and productive 3 years under your presidency. And now we shall now move to agenda item 8, reports and recommendation of subsidiary bodies and convention. I invite the chair of the CMS Standing Committee from the Government of India to report on activities of the Standing Committee since COP14 as per item 8.1. Please.
Thank you, Chair. India assumed the position of the chair of the Standing Committee during the 51st meeting of the CMS Standing Committee held on February 22nd, 2020 in Gandhinagar in Gujarat. From February 2020 to February 2024, India chaired 3 meetings of the CMS Standing Committee. The 52nd session of this committee took place virtually from September 21st to 29th of 2021. The 53rd meeting was held in person in Bonn from 19th to 20th October, and the 54th meeting was held yesterday here in Samarkand. Subsequent to the COP13, the CMS Secretariat had engaged in development of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, working on issues on zoonotic diseases, partnerships, and joint work planning with organizations and participating in relevant events to promote the CMS priorities set out in the Gandhinagar Declaration adopted by COP13. In the margins of COP13, several parties had announced generous pledges under the Migratory Species Champion Program. The total value of the contributions received or pledged in 2020 and 2021 for the program of work was approximately 4.06 million euros. These contributions have been received from the governments of Australia, Germany, India, Japan, Monaco, Sweden, and Switzerland, as well as from UNEP and the Maya Foundation. In order to address the need to improve collection of information on parties' actions to fulfill commitments under the convention, the national report format has been revised. The importance of range state consultations as a necessary step in the development of listing proposals was recommended by the Standing Committee. Chair, having unpaid contributions is a persistent concern within the convention, and accordingly the Standing Committee had published the status of arrears and contributions on the CMS website, and there has been some significant but not substantial improvement in raising the arrears. The Secretariat has been engaging bilaterally with the parties using diplomatic channels and also has been communicating with the parties to address this issue in relation to the arrears. The Standing Committee noted that the financial constraints of the convention has been resulted in the Secretariat being understaffed, affecting the health of some of these staff members. A summary relating to the implementation of each of the targets of the SPMS 2015-2023 was taken up by the Standing Committee. Overall, positive progress has been made towards achievement of some SPMS targets, especially those relating to the awareness raising, improved governance arrangements, and area-based conservation measures. Despite notable progress in these areas, however, progress towards achievement of some of the targets were lacking. Options for follow-up of the strategic plan for migratory species 2015 to 2023 and the development of the SPM of 2024-32 was discussed in the 53rd Standing Committee meeting, both in terms of the type of product that could be developed and the process for undertaking the work required. The Standing Committee established an intersessional working group tasked with developing the support from the Secretariat, a draft concise strategic plan for migratory species as a follow-up to the SPM 2015-2023 for consideration of COP14. In line with the direction of the Standing Committee in 53, the new SPMS sets forth key strategic priorities for the CMS while providing important linkages and responding to wider global priorities, notably the Global Biodiversity Framework. The new SPMS is in line with the strategic decisions, including the work program adopted at COP14, as well as longer-term resolutions, including on climate change, renewable energy, infrastructure, ecological connectivity, and conservation measures for CMS species. The time frame for the SPMS covers a period of 2024 to 2023. Accordingly, new resolutions and new decisions to adopt the SPMS 2024-2032 are placed before COP14 for their consideration. In the 52nd meeting of the Standing Committee, a new CITES joint working program and an African carnivore initiative was endorsed, and the terms of reference of the Intergovernmental Task Force on phasing out of lead was also agreed upon. The Standing Committee appointed a new scientific counselor and provided important and necessary budgetary allocation to deal with the unexpected cost associated with IMOJA. The Standing Committee, its 53rd meeting, also finalized the rules of procedure and also adopted the report of the migratory species in the post-2020 biodiversity framework. The Government of India would like to thank the Secretariat and all members of the Standing Committee and all the other alternate members, the civil society organizations, and all those who were involved in successful conducting of the 3 standing committees which India chaired. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, India. I now invite the chair of the CMS Scientific Council, Ms. Narella Montgomery, to report on the activities of the Scientific Council since COP13 as per item 8.2. Floor is yours, please.
Distinguished delegates, it is my pleasure as Chair of the Scientific Council to provide a brief update on the activities that have occurred under the auspices of the Scientific Council since COP13 took place in 2020. Given that it's been 4 years since COP13, the Scientific Council has been very busy and progressed a large number of important work items. Unfortunately, I only have a short amount of time to provide this update, so I will seek to highlight a few items of particular note. I will bring to people's attention that the vast majority of COP14 papers were either actively produced by or reviewed by the Scientific Council during the intersessional period. Delegates only need to look at the breadth and sheer number of COP14 items to recognise the significant workload that the Scientific Council carries. A few highlights include IPBES agreeing to undertake a fast-track assessment on ecological connectivity, which includes spatial planning as a component. This assessment has been championed by both CMS and UNCCD through IPBES, and it was a significant milestone that the assessment was agreed at IPBES 10. We hope that this assessment will provide governments with tangible actions to take to achieve obligations under the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. The world's first report on the conservation status of migratory species was produced. This will be considered under item 21, and delegates will see and will have heard already that unfortunately the news is not great. 1 in 5 CMS listed species are threatened with extinction globally, and 44% have a decreasing population trend. Climate change and its effects on migratory species was also examined in detail. This will be considered under item 30.4.1 and demonstrates that effects to migratory species from climate change are happening now. The report highlights key areas for future work, noting that it is essential that CMS further engages in work on climate change, both within the convention itself, through the Scientific Council, and also by forging stronger relationships with other frameworks concerned with climate change, such as the UNFCCC. You will see that the light pollution guidelines that were endorsed at COP14 have made a return visit at this COP. During the intersessional period, work was done to increase the applicability of the guidelines internationally, as well as the development of 2 new appendices providing species-specific technical guidance on migratory bats and migratory land birds. The guidelines will be considered in depth at item 30.4.4. Additional activities were progressed through a variety of working groups and task forces that operated under the auspices of the Scientific Council, addressing key issues such as illegal hunting and unsustainable take, wildlife disease, animal culture, recreational in-water interactions, as well as a huge body of work done by one half of our COP-appointed Councillor for Birds, Stephen Garnett, on disentangling exactly which avian species are contained in the family and general listings on Appendix 2. As you can see, both from the few highlights I've provided and also from the extensive COP14 agenda, the Sessional Committee of the Scientific Council is the workhorse of the convention, without which not much would happen. The current structure of the Sessional Committee was evaluated during this intersessional period as per the request at COP11 when the Sessional Committee was established. You can read about the results of this evaluation at document 15.1, but I would note a number of improvements will be put into place for the next intersessional period, including greater use of online meetings to progress priority topics in focused work streams. I would also note that it is being recommended that the number of party-appointed Sessional Committee representatives be increased from 3 per region to 4 per region. This is in recognition of the substantial workload of the committee and also to enhance the utilisation of expertise contained within regions, assist build capacity and help to ensure a smoother rotation of party-appointed representatives onto the committee. The Secretariat has costed this increase at a very modest $40,000 per COP cycle, and I urge parties to consider this increase appropriately during the budget discussions. While the Sessional Committee has done a commendable effort with the amount of items it has progressed for COP consideration, there are still items that we weren't able to complete due to a lack of resources. An additional representative for each region will help immeasurably. I would note that without the commitment of all our Sessional Committee members, both party-appointed and COP-appointed councillors, who all contribute their time and expertise in a voluntary capacity, our COP agenda would be considerably smaller. I'd like to finish by thanking all of our hard-working party-appointed Sessional Committee representatives and our COP-appointed councillors, without whom none of this would have been possible. I'd also like to particularly recognise 3 COP-appointed councillors that have stepped down or are stepping down from their roles at this COP. Rodrigo Medellin, who shared the role of COP-appointed councillor for terrestrial mammals, Giuseppe Noto Batalo di Schiara, who was a COP-appointed councillor for aquatic mammals, and Colin Galbraith, who has been our COP-appointed councillor for climate change for over a decade. Not only has Colin been a COP-appointed councillor, but he has also been chair of the Scientific Council in the past and has been directly involved with CMS for approximately the past 24 years, so a considerable achievement. I invite you all to join with me in expressing my deep appreciation to everyone involved in the Scientific Council, including the Secretariat, for their unwavering support of our committee members. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Montgomery, for a very informative report. And now I would be grateful, distinguished delegates, if you could now turn your attention to document 9, report of the depository and host country. And I invite the representative of the Federal Republic of Germany to introduce document 9. Please, the floor is yours.
Since the last report of the depository, published at the 53rd meeting of the Standing Committee in October 2022, no further countries have acceded to the Convention. As of 2nd January 2024, the parties to the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals number 133. Since the last report of the depository in October 2022, the Federal Republic of Germany, in its capacity as depository, has not received any notifications from parties regarding objections, reservations, or withdrawals. Regarding COP14 Resolution 13.8, which instructs the Secretariat and the depository government to remind affected parties explicitly of reservations that will be rendered invalid, the depository states that it is not aware of any such reservations. The Federal Republic of Germany engages in the following initiatives to support the accession of new parties. The Federal Republic of Germany supports the efforts undertaken by the CMS Secretariat in Bonn. In addition, the Federal Foreign Office contacts German missions abroad, which then provide assistance in matters relating, for example, the accession to the Convention. The missions are hence also involved in the recruitment of new members. The CMS Secretariat and the Federal Republic of Germany are currently approaching a number of countries to discuss possible accession. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. I would like to give the floor to the Secretariat for housekeeping announcement. Please, Maria.
Thank you, Chair. Before we close for the morning, I would like to make some housekeeping announcements. Please, to facilitate the work of our interpreters, we would appreciate if you send your statements or talking points ahead of time. You can send it to the email account cms.cop14@cms.int, and we will make sure interpreters will receive them. There can be a meeting of the Credentials Committee after this session in the SIGA room. I know there is a nomination pending from Europe, but maybe they can meet to start organizing.
Okay, Belgium, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I'm speaking on behalf of the EU and its member states, and we would be happy to support the nomination of the UK to be the representative of the European Group in the Credentials Committee. And apologies, it took us a bit of time to get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Belgium.
Thank you, Belgium. So with that composition of the Credentials Committee, they could meet now in the SIGA room. They will have assistance from the Secretariat with all the credentials received so far. Side events are going to start taking place today in the Expo Center. That's located behind the Congress Hall. Please follow the signs, and it should be around 10-minute walk to the Expo Center. And also I would like to remind delegates that the Champions Night is taking place today at 7. The award ceremony is taking place in this venue, in the plenary hall, after preliminary or initial work of the working groups, and then we can follow to the Hilton Hotel for a reception hosted by the government of Uzbekistan. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, dear colleagues, distinguished delegates. And now I propose we can close the morning session, and I kindly ask you all to be at this room at 15 p.m. Thank you.